All right, you magical grasshoppers. We are coming to you from the planet Earth.
Yeah.
Our vibes are going out to planets in the universe, such as the Giants planet, the Jets planet, right? They are far, far away planets. They're, they're malfunctioning. They're like Cuba. There's no power on those planets at all now.
There's no power anywhere. Yeah, last night, so we watched Tulsa King because it's a really cool show. Like,
I've heard
Sly
about
is
this,
cool.
yeah.
He's really good at it. And, we got done early enough, so I put on both games. I'm going back and forth going, man.
I know.
It's tough. It's tough being a Mets fan and a Jets fan. I mean, at least the Mets, they weren't supposed to go this deep, and they did.
Yeah.
But the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, he got this, he got the coach fired. Now he's got his receivers. And the same worst result, really. I mean,
well, it's just like if you go watch like Baltimore or you watch Detroit, like they play like savages. They're out there sacrificing and everything like that. And then you watch the Jets and Giants. Like, do they even care? Like, they don't tackle.
But we've been through this already for the Jets. Jets fans like myself. This is our second Green Bay guy they got like 5 years after he should have retired. First it was Brett Favre. Now it's this clown.
We should get him to send out pictures of his penis too, right?
That was Brett Favre.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, get Aaron Rodgers to do it now.
Yeah. It's awful. I mean, it's tough.
I know. It is. It's awful to watch. Yeah, because when you do watch those good teams, like, wow, this is exciting. Like, this is good football and everything. But
and then I put KC and San Fran on. It's like a game. There's plays being made, and it's exciting.
The Detroit Minnesota's game was great too. Yeah.
Who's the quarterback in Minnesota?
Sam Darnold.
Where did you play before?
Yeah, first round pick.
Gave up on him.
Well, that's what's going to happen with Daniel Jones, and I hope it does. And I don't mean this in a bitter way, but I hope he goes someplace else, regroups, has a good career, because he's got the skills to do it. Like if Sam Darnold does, man. Yeah.
You want everybody to succeed. Just the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. I mean, he's a cool dude and all that. He's into this and that. But do you blame him or do you blame management for bringing him?
I blame management
entirely.
You look, okay, I keep using Detroit as an example. So Dan Campbell, the coach there now, he's been there. I think this is his fourth season now. So when they came in, him and the GM, they talk about it all the time, how they want character guys, not just talented guys, but character guys. So they had to trade Matthew Stafford, the star quarterback. Wasn't, they get a lot for him. So they brought in Jared Goff. Now, I think everybody at the time they got Jared Goff thought, God, the guy can't really play, but he's a guy that needs somebody to snap the ball to. Now he's like, he's one of the MVPs in the league right now because they coached him. I think.
One of the things my son pointed out this morning was that Aaron Rodgers has the exact or pretty close to the same stats as Zach Wilson had.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So
and bad, like think of your player on the team. And last week he badmouthed the run receiver, right? Like the receiver didn't run. Yeah.
Like I just don't know how you want to play for a guy like that.
Right. Because so I think to myself, okay, when I was in LA with Gretzky, so now when he got traded, he brought his guys with him, Marty McSorley, Mike Krushelninski. But that came as the trade package. He didn't get there and all of a sudden like bad.
I need this, I need that, I need that.
Yeah. He was the exact opposite. Like he really said, okay, this is what we got right now. Let's work with it. And he was funny though. A couple of times when Timmy Waters and I would come on the ice. I'll never forget this. And Timmy and I laughed about it because we were veteran players. We knew who we were at that point. And it was a heated game. And there's an offensive opportunity. I don't think it was a power play. Something was going on. We needed a goal. Gretz goes out there like with Bernie Nichols and Luke Robitaille, all these big goal scorers. And then they put Timmy Waters and I out with them. And he turned and looked at us and he rolled his eyes. He goes, oh, God. And he didn't mean to. He could tell. And it was that we laughed about it. And he understood. He came to us after to say something. We said, wait, forget it. Don't worry about it. We understand the way it is. So it's like, it's good.
But, everybody's got a job to do. And you had a job and you did it well, or else you wouldn't have been around that long for sure. Yeah. And, that's the thing. And, all the focus has been on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And now it better remain on him right now.
Like Wow. Well, that's the thing. It's like they're 2-5, right?
It's awful. It's awful.
I know. Like and losing to Pittsburgh, they get spanked by Pittsburgh too. But I saw a stat today where they've only had 16 points in the last half, in the second half in the last 4 games. So
if you total the Mets runs this week, they had more than.
The Mets are cool. Even though they lost, they were outmanned against LA. They weren't going to beat LA.
That's a tough team, man. That's going to be a good series.
Yeah. That was. I really enjoyed. Listen, the Yankees are great. But they're almost like a little boring, right? Because they are great. They're supposed to be. Yeah. The Mets are pretty cool. All right, I have a bone to pick. We should have every week have a bone to pick segment, right? Bone to pick. Okay. Jim Montgomery. coach of the Boston Bruins. Did you see the video of him? I don't know if he punched Brad Marchand on the bench, but poked him physically on the bench.
Did not.
So I guess Marchand turned the puck over. So now Marchand, he's got his history. He's done some stupid things, but he's captain of the team, great competitor, tremendous player. I guess he turned the puck over, and they went down and scored. They're playing against Utah, I think it was. They went down and scored. Ultimately, I guess the goal got disallowed for something else. But at the time, he had made the turnover. Now, Montgomery, like, I don't know if it was phony or whatever, on the bench, he loses his mind. And he's all of a sudden, like, you can tell he's walking up down the bench, and then he says, like, it's like he realized, okay, I need to snap. Like, it was a phony thing. Like, I need to put on a show here. And he went down, he's yelling at Marchand. He went down and like, it wasn't a punch necessarily, but pokes at him. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, like, okay, maybe like in the 70s or 80s, a coach could do that, but this is 2024.
But even then, did you play with Kevin McClellan anywhere?
Yeah, yep. I played against him. Sorry.
This story, I guess he was in the American League or something toward the end of his career. And every time he touched the puck, whoever was coaching was screaming, "Get rid of it, get rid of it." And he came back to the bench and said, you tell me to get rid of it one more time, I'm going to knock you out.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Very cool. Here's our buddy here, Mr. Veteran here in beautiful Chicago.
There he is. Good morning, William.
And he saw the video, and it was just like, it's such. I almost felt like if I was Montgomery's, if I was Marchand's teammate, like I wish somebody had stood up and said, "You ever touch my teammate again like that?" And I'm just like you said, I'm knocking you out. That is.
Think of what it does to the kids too.
Yeah.
Because if you're a rookie or second, whatever, if he's yelling at that dude,
right,
then I don't even want to be on the ice because I don't want to make a mistake.
And I can see, okay, if Marchand continually makes the same play, and then the coach could go to him and usually use him as an example in front of everybody else, but do it in a respectful way. Say, like, Brad, listen, you're an incredible leader, you're a great competitor, but you can't turn the puck over there. Like, do it in a composed way. Like, it's,
He's had a history, Montgomery.
So, yeah, no kidding. He had the alcohol, probably. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say that played into it, but then again, there's also a really distinct possibility that they talked about. Hey, listen, I may have to go off on you a little bit, try and get this team to understand it. But I doubt that. I don't.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, but that's.
Yeah. Like the whole physical part of it too. And again, it wasn't like a huge thing, like you punched him in the head, but it's just to put, like, a coach nowadays, to put a hands on any player, college level, youth level.
Yeah.
It's just, that's wrong. Yeah.
And you're going to get the wrong guy that'll stand up and stretch him.
Oh, I think maybe I told you the story. Clark Gillies was on our show, and he got traded to Buffalo, and Ted Sater, who had coached us, everybody hated. So, Clark had fought everybody, right? Yeah. Like, there's no need for him to prove himself. Right. And Lyndon Byers, I think it was, for Buffalo,
tough kid,
was wanting to make a name for himself. Gillies is the legend and all that. You get it. And so it was late in the game. It was a meaningless shift. Clark is sat on the bench most of the game. So Sater throws him out there against Byers. Mm-hmm. So they get in a fight. And, Clark doesn't even want to get in the fight. So go through the fight, and then they go in the locker room. And Clark, was telling the story. He said he was just fuming. Sater comes by in the locker room after the game, taps him on the shoulder. He says, "Great job there, big guy." And I guess Clarky said he stood up, and we got verification for this. I think maybe Dave Maloney was there as well. I can't remember who it was. Clarky stood up, grabbed him by the throat, and threw him across the room. Because I've always wanted to see that with a coach. I wish I had done that with Sater. Like, he was just a total jerkwad. Yeah.
Was Jeep there when Clark was there?
No. James Patrick? No.
Yeah.
No, his brother had been there.
Okay.
But his brother actually got traded for Dave Maloney. So I think that, James had I forgot James, but he was with, that was after. That was much after that James got there. I forgot that. Yeah, he was there a long time in Buffalo. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Let me see. Have I ever seen, that's a good question, by the way. Have I ever seen a player fight a coach? Well, obviously there's the one scene it wasn't much of a fight, but looking back at it now, like, if coaches today, that's why I bring up Montgomery, if they did the stuff that a lot of coaches did in the past, like today, the coaches would get the crap kicked out of them. Mm-hmm. Well, players aren't like that now, but like even Herb Brooks, who was, I mean, he comes down to kick me in the ass all the time, but it was more like, I don't know. It was weird.
But you almost felt good that he did. A guy like that, because you respect him. You're like, he really wants more out of me.
Right. It was all part of the act with him too. And I was one of his boys. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, he thinks I'm this tough guy, or mentally tough, and nothing's going to bother me. So he's going to show that in front of everybody and kick me in the ass. So,
yeah, there's a whole bunch of ways. I mean, look, how do you motivate these guys now?
Oh,
That make so much money. But here, I'm going to go out on a limb. You ready?
yeah.
I think Brad Marchand will still be in the league, be in
Yeah.
Boston longer than Jim Montgomery.
Yeah. He'll probably make the Hall of Fame long before Montgomery ever makes it too. Yeah.
Exactly.
I know. Montgomery bothers me. Like last year, he puts on this whole act on the bench. Like he thought there should have been a diving penalty. So he's doing this whole thing on the bench. Like he's pretending he's diving, like, like this. And it was like it's like that kind of stuff for a player on the bench. Like I never forget, like Brian Murray, and God rest his soul, he's passed away. And I got to know him after, and he was a good guy. But when he coached, he was one of those guys that would yap at the other team. And when you had, like, I don't think I ever had a coach that would yap at the other team, because it's kind of like, okay,
backfire real quick on you.
Yeah, we'll handle that. Just shut up and coach. Yeah. We'll handle the.
I always told like youth hockey kids when we, like you get those games, you're up 8-0.
Yeah.
And I would tell the bench, listen, guys, you're going to be on the opposite side of this one day.
Yeah.
So don't chirp. Show some class here.
Yeah.
You're going to be on the other end of it.
When I was coaching with John Tonelli, and he's a fiery guy, we had this team, good team. We were nationally ranked and played this team. There was a really good team. They were above us. One of these teams that they brought in guys from all over the country. The kids would just come in for the games on the weekend, from California and all this. The rich dads would fly them in on private jets and the whole bit. And we were playing in the tournament, and they were handing it to us pretty good. And the coach, heard the coach on the other bench yell, "Light it up!" Like, Tonelli and I both just freaking lost it. We were like, "You freaking."
Well, yeah. I mean, and there's a code. You never, especially in youth hockey. Well, at any level, especially youth hockey, you don't talk to the other team's players.
Yeah. Oh.
So it was years ago. 100 years ago. But I was coaching a team, and it was the districts or something. Our guy was coming to the bench, and their coach started chirping him.
Oh.
So and they were from Maryland, So I just walked. It doesn't matter where they're from. I just walked in the bench. I looked at the guy. I said, "Listen, if your life is that boring, you're gonna pick on a 15-year-old kid. I'll end it for you right now." Yeah.
Isn't it funny how we can talk calmly here about what should happen, shouldn't. Now, probably you're not the same way. We don't get mad about losing a kid's hockey game. We get mad more about treating the kids improperly, right?
Correct.
Like it's
The kids, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I know. Is that true? Like a 14-year-old boy, or last year a girl, or whatever?
I had sport around. You know the rink.
Yeah.
So the one end, there's like a little platform at the top.
Yeah.
And Sean was, I think, a sophomore in high school, and he's playing a high school hockey game there. And at that end, they had fathers playing music in between, like face-offs, right? And every time there'd be a scrum or a face-off, one guy was chirping Sean. He just
a dad from the other team.
Yeah, because Sean played on the edge.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the stands, and I think it was with Beth. Yeah, it was with Beth, and she said, that guy. I said, Sean's fine. Don't worry about it, right?
Yeah.
So the game ends. Now it's the handshake. The kids are. Now this guy now is like on the glass screaming at Sean.
Really? After the game?
Yeah. So I just said to him, I said, "Hey, buddy, it's a 15-year-old kid. How old are you?" The guy's, "I'm 16." And I go, "Well, you're," I called him an A-word, an asshole. And then out of the blind side, his buddy comes in and like comes in front of him and gets in my grill and kind of shoves me a little bit. And then it went south from there.
My father, he was huge. He's like the 6'4", farm boy and everything, like just in that, farm boy, tough, strong kind of thing, but quiet. Never yelled at the games, didn't ever talk to my coaches to complain. It was my deal. We played a game one time at our home game, and I was at that 15, 16. I was hammering everybody. I was the big farm boy, and the coach and the other team yells, "Laidlaw, you're going home in a body bag," or something like that. And my father yells out, and it was, he yells, "Plenty have tried it before. It's not going to work too well." Oh man, I remember thinking to myself, because he never did it before. I remember like the whole building was like, "Oh my God!" Like that's
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, that's it. The guys like that are quiet, and then all of a sudden they give you the look. Sometimes that's all you got to get.
Yeah.
I tell you. So yesterday I was training Trey.
Yep.
Right, and there's a side door like in the corner of the gym that leads up a set of stairs, and there was a knock, and I opened it, and it was this guy standing there with food, making a food delivery, probably DoorDash or something.
Right.
I said, no, we didn't order, but let me take you through the gym. I'll bring you. And I figured out it was somebody like there's a dance school or something. So I get to talking to this guy, and you could see he was older. I'm going to say he was late 50s, maybe early 60s, but he's pretty jacked, right?
Right.
And he had an accent. Turned out we got to talking. He was a special forces in the Republic of Georgia, right?
Oh.
So, like you may say, "Oh, guys deliver food," right? And then, you wake up in the hospital. And he was a really cool guy. And you
Yeah.
know, so there's a lesson like with your dad and stuff. Keep your mouth shut because you
Yeah.
don't have any clue
Yeah.
who you're dealing with.
Yeah, very true.
know?
Yeah, you think you're tough, but there's always
Yeah.
somebody else. That's
Oh
it.
yeah.
Our buddy here. Whose team on your hat? What do you got going on your hat?
Oh, this is Morristown Beard. They're a preparatory school here in New Jersey.
Oh.
And I've been working with Scott Green, who's a great guy, he's the head coach there for years, and Bruce Driver is involved with the program up there. So I've been helicoptering in and out over the years with the team.
Good. Hey, you know, I keep forgetting too. We got to mention your business, patriottrainingsystems.com. So if you want to get a hold of Mark, you can reach him on Facebook, particularly, right? He can train anybody. So good morning, gents. Mr. Ron Jameson up in beautiful Buffalo with the Buffalo Bills doing well.
Keeping that ice nice.
Yes, that's right. Remember how big your father was? Yeah, yes. Murray's a Brampton guy. Yeah, my father was huge. He was that big. And he was, like you said, he looked big too. Like he just wasn't his size. Like he acted big, but just a soft. Like I used to look at him, and it's funny looking back at it now. Like he was just soft. I was like, "Come on, Dad, you need to be fighting or something like that," you know. And I think that was the macho man, you know. And I realized now he was.
Those are the kind of guys, man. You don't like.
Yeah.
When they go, they go.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And he didn't have to because everybody just looked at him like, we'll go someplace else.
We'll go down the road here.
Yeah. All right. What do we got here from Rod James? Who's your surprise team, good and bad, this young season? Surprise team. You know, I was going to say, like, Edmonton's got off to excuse me.
Bless you.
Edmonton's got off to a tough start, but I think that's just them. I think they know they're good. You know, they're going to make the playoffs and just get ready for the playoffs. So
I think for me, Utah. I mean, they look pretty competitive.
Yeah, the game they came in here and played against the Rangers, they're good. They're not just win, but they're a good team. The player that I'm really interested in watching now because of the contract situation is Shesterkin. Like they went into Toronto Saturday night there, and he was even the other team was talking about it. It's like, and they keep using the phrase that it's not just like he's so composed, like he controls the game. Yeah. Like everybody's talking about both, and I'm sure Lavroulette's got to be careful. Like I'm sure Drury said to him, "Listen, don't say too many good things about him."
Yeah, I want to keep him. Well, he makes the second and third save.
Yeah.
You know,
and he does it in such a composed way. Like he's not like it's not like it's the end of the world that he's made the save. It's like, okay, we're fine, guys. I made the save. Yeah.
He gets acrobatic, but most of the time he's just squared up.
Yeah.
Because he has a good feel for where the shot's coming from.
Yeah, very true. What do we got here? Ron Jameson. Go Nichols.
Oh, I had a kid that played junior for me that played up there.
Oh.
Actually, a couple kids played up there.
Oh,
yeah, that's Division III. They're in that that Northeast, like I forget what they call it, NESCAT. It's, you know, schools like Middlebury and up and down Wesley and all those schools. Yeah, it's you know what, Division III, for those that don't know, it's still pretty good hockey.
Yeah,
even though they're not scholarship kids, it's actually really good hockey.
Yeah,
because just like this, you're splitting hairs sometimes. You know, like the difference in the kids between Division I and III.
What famous player back in the 80s, a pretty good player, played for basically most of the time at Calgary, played with Philly a little bit, won cups, big guy, big right shot, tough centerman?
Ron Flockhart?
No. It's awful. I just had it at the tip of my tongue, too.
What was he, a Division III player?
Yeah, he's U.S. born
Greg
player.
Adams.
No.
But Greg Adams was Division III.
Yes, he was. Yeah. Yes. But this guy was, terrible. Tough guy, too. Played
right-hand shot, left-hand shot.
Right-hand shot, centerman. Yeah, Joel Otto.
Oh, that's right.
Remember Joel Otto?
Yeah. Yeah, he was huge, man, too.
He could play, too.Ig, tough guy.
That was a big team, right?
Yeah. The Brawls, the Edmonton Brawls, the Calgary to Edmonton. Yeah, those was wars. Yeah. Okay.
And the goaltender played at a smaller school. Guy Hebert. Didn't he play like Division III, I think?
Yeah. Thanks, Brendan. You got it there too, but I'm sure you had written it down before I said it. Brendan Lynch. Have we heard of Brendan before?
Brendan is a family member of mine. Great guy, hardworking patriot. Yeah, and he's a huge. You know, I have a picture of Brendan, my son, and his son on the couch with the Ranger shirts on.
Right.
And I said, "It's my fault. I've ruined your lives, guys."
Oh.
Because they're all diehard. In fact, he was there opening night with his son.
Very cool. Nice to meet you, Brendan. Very cool.
Guy.
Good to meet you.
Dude. Yeah.
Good to meet you. All right. Where are we at with our politics? Okay. Let me back up. So I don't think this is a conspiracy theory, but Cuba, no power.
It's bad.
Right.
You just got hit by a Cat 1.
Get what?
They just got hit by a Cat 1
Oh,
hurricane. Stuff
they
with
didn't
5
get hit
inches
by
of
a-
rain. Yeah.
got hit by a cat. I thought you said.
That-
Uh, and then you get North Korea joining with the Russians going into
Yeah.
Ukraine. But let me ask you this though. Here's my: Why do the Russians need North Korea? Like, isn't
The-
Russia?
So
Like-
they traditionally, even before this excursion into Ukraine, they've had a very low male population because of all the wars they've been over the centuries.
Right.
So now they're running out of men. I mean, so that's pretty much it.
Really? Wow.
And anything's better than living in North Korea. So you send me to a battle zone, I get fed. Yeah, I'm going.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Venezuela, I think it was like Russia, Venezuela, Mexico. We're sending fuel to Cuba,
Yeah,
and they've cut that off now. I guess it makes sense with Venezuela, but
No, to me, it doesn't make any sense because there's the communist strong point. I mean, they're 90 miles off the coast of Florida.
Right.
I mean, that was the whole thing with the Cuban Missile Blockade back in the 60s. They're literally in our living room. But
so
why-
in
why-
Venezuela, it feels like they've got control over Cuba now because they're controlling their fuel supply.
and Russia and China have always propped up Cuba because it's they want a foothold there. But yeah, it's kind of confusing as to why they're
Yeah,
Pulling back.
there's got to be some reason. Like, why have they let?
Yeah.
Because it's 10 million people, but it can't be that much fuel. It's like New York City, right? It's
Yeah. probably less than New York City.
yeah. But that's imagine there, and then they have all the hurricanes going through there. They get hit by Milton, I think, too, right? Didn't they get affected by Milton?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
No, I think Milton was more in the Gulf.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so you got all,
Oh, no, yeah, Gulf. Yeah.
and we got Venezuelan gangs coming into the country, setting up shop. And I like how the Democrats tried to downplay it before. There wasn't a big deal, but it's like growing more and more.
Yeah, I mean, at some point we have to face reality. It's a huge problem,
Right.
and it's only going to get worse. There's a, it's polymorphous why it's such a big problem. One of them, which is in New York City, you don't have a cash bail, and they're having all the minors commit the crimes because the minors get just turned back in the street. We had a kid 11 years old stick somebody up on a subway.
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah,
I saw that. Yeah, like there's a thing. It's a gang. They were in Times Square. They were in Central
yeah.
Park. Yeah. There's something I was concerned about too with the Venezuelan gangs. I don't know.
Well, they took over, the Aurora housing.
Yeah.
They tried to do it in North Texas. I think they got pushback on that. But yeah, they're here, and what they're doing in Times Square is they're surrounding tourists with like 30 kids,
Right.
just ripping watches and phones and wallets.
You know, so not going down like to Alabama or something like that, where all the
No.
guys come up with the shotguns and.
No.
Here I know. I read an article today saying that there was 2,000 immigrants that were coming up from the southern border of Mexico. But here's my question: okay, so 2,000 is still a big number.
Yeah.
But how do we know this? Like, how does the media know that there's in southern Mexico there's a certain 2,000 people that are coming up to the border? I mean, they're coming across the border every day. Why is it this?
Well,
2,000?
this is a caravan. This isn't like just a group here, group here, group here. This is a caravan,
Right.
coming en masse. 2,000 people coming up the road at the same time.
But I remember when Obama was president, they told us the same story, but it was much more like there was thousands of people coming up en masse. They just suddenly they disappeared. They disappeared.
Well, Obama he deported a lot of people. People forget they called him deporter in chief. I don't know. Look, it's way above our pay grade. Why there's got to be a reason behind all the things that occur, obviously.
Yeah.
And I don't really care. I want my friends and my family to be safe.
I
And
know.
Really, it's getting sketchy. I mean, there's been a couple door kick-ins around here, broad daylight home invasions, broad daylight.
Wow.
So we have enough of our own crime. We don't need to import anything.
I know.
We do it very well on our own.
But it is true. Like, and we kind of, and I'm not picking on other people. I just get the sense as a community, as a society, we kind of like don't pay attention. Right? We're worried about P. Diddy. We're worried about Taylor Swift concert.
We're guilty, you and I too, because what's the first thing we talked about today?
Football. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. You think really, you're right. And like you watch the news, like there was it down in Texas or someplace where I don't think this is terroristic or something like that, but it was like this dock where there's a big festival. The dock collapsed.
Georgia. Yeah.
Georgia. And nobody even talks about it.
But
Like,
I'm sorry, one of those Georgia.
Yeah. nobody even talks about it. Eight
That's
people
only
died.
7 people, 8 people. It's a big
I
deal.
know.
No, I know. There are times I just got to not watch the news because it gets overwhelming.
I know. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I get stuck in it too. I say to myself, I'm not going to watch it, and then I'm like,
And
oh,
again, I'm going to put how you feel about Trump,
Yeah.
not you personally, but people in general.
Right.
The McDonald's yesterday was hysterical. It was just absolutely hysterical.
I know. I know.
Only he could do that. I mean,
And what did he say about Kamala that she lied about the fact that she worked at McDonald's?
She did. She did because she did. There's
She
no
did
verification.
lie, or
Yeah.
she did.
No, she
Oh,
yeah. She can't tell you when or where. Or
Oh.
what, or, you know. And-
but it is funny when you watch like the more liberal news. They make it seem like Trump is making this up.
Right.
Because they don't want to do the homework. It's
Well,
like the other day when they were talking about Biden was saying how stupid it was people thinking they control the weather. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, well, cloud seeding is a patented process that's been around since the 40s. It's not some new. It's
You know,
not
there's
some
no,
new-
don't piss on my foot and tell me it's raining.
yeah.
Yes,
I'm always cool. Yes. And was she. I'll tell you, the more and more I feel like I think it's really important for people to be prepared, and not necessarily for a war or something like that, just for like you watch Cuba. I know we're not Cuba, but
Listen, it could happen here. So you know what an EMP is? An electrical magnetic pulse. And what it does, and it's happened in history a few times from sunbursts, but it knocks out the grid.
right.
It could be easily done by an adversary. And most people would survive 2 days.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, the water is the big thing, right? Having enough water on supply.
Huge.
And everything.
Yeah. You can get, by the way, a pure water straw. There's different ones.
I
They're
saw
on Amazon. You go down the river and drink.
Like that's the scary thing. Let's say you and I prepared,
Mhm.
but all our neighbors did not prepare.
Right.
So now we're a target because they want what we have.
I have target repellers.
Target repellers. Remember, what was it like 20 years ago or something when the grid went down here in New York, the whole area? Like,
Yeah, it's happened a couple of times. The most famous was in '77 during the Yankees game in a World Series against LA, ironically. Yeah. It was a big
but wasn't
blackout.
the one like a few years, like 20 years ago? That was the whole region, wasn't it? All like southern New York, right?
Yeah, it doesn't take much. There was one in the '60s that a squirrel tripped a transformer up in Canada, and then it's a cascading effect. So
Yes.
one, it just.
And I thought the one 20 years ago was similar too. There was something tied
very
to
similar. Yeah, it was very minor. What caused
But
it?
really, that's how delicate our grid
Oh,
is.
it's awful. It's so old. So old.
Wow.
I mean, even going into New York, because Beth would commute every day before COVID. The delays going through the tunnel were awful because the system in there is over 100 years old.
Yeah.
And
But
then
even
when we had Sandy and they got flooded, they had all this corrosive salt and everything in there. It's a mess.
Did you happen to notice that on the east side of Manhattan, they're installing all these barriers to guard against flooding? Did you see this?
No, I did not.
They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars. Like they shut down the east side. It was on Sunday morning. They had the FDR Drive shut down in Lower Manhattan. I think that's the case. They're putting these big barriers up. But I'm thinking, okay, when's it flooded? It's never flooded.
Well, there's a couple sections on the FDR, if you remember, where you're going right along the river.
Yeah.
It's pretty much river level. So if it does that part does flood.
Right.
But in fact, Sandy was really bad. But
yeah,
the government. So here's my thing with all of this: they can't even deliver mail.
I know.
And
that's why you can't like either they're totally incompetent or they're totally corrupt or they're both or
it's a little bit of both.
I know. Yeah. Like it's like they talk about accepting the results of the election.
Mm-hmm.
This is this big thing, like almost like you're unpatriotic,
right?
If you don't accept it. Like, are you kidding?
Yeah,
we should
go
question.
back to Al Gore with the hanging Chad down in Florida.
Oh yeah,
Hillary still hasn't accepted it.
Yeah,
I mean, so that
I don't think we should at this point. I don't think we should accept anything. Like I think the government has the responsibility to explain everything to us to prove that what they're doing is the real deal. Yeah.
But they won't. And, there's certain things that they can't let us know, I guess.
Yeah.
Supposedly to protect us. But
can't let us know that they're making millions of dollars because they can do insider trading and all this.
Oh, Nancy.
Oh, God. She's typical, but man, that's a scary person. Oh,
she's frightening.
Yeah. Isn't she? Like the power she has.
Yeah. And she's 94 years old.
Has she ever? I know she's won election, but that's the other thing too with Kamala Harris. Like they talk about democracy and they compared Trump to Hitler and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's really never won an election. She got elected as president, but wasn't elected. She was just chosen.
Well, she was elected senator. That's about it.
Right.
She did not she was chosen for vice president based upon female and a woman of color. Biden said it. So like, you can't say it's not true because it's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
And then we all know how she became attorney general. Well, it's true. You know. Anyway, whatever, but
I like the video. She's with that one. Is it Montel Williams or whatever? And he's got 2 women with him, and she's one of them. And he's introducing, like, you can tell she's one of his. Oh God.
So this whole Pete Diddy thing, I think there's going to be some earthquakes in the entertainment industry.
Well, great point. But the only reason I disagree with you is apparently they're going around and buying or paying off all these people.
They are.
Right.
Yeah. But there'll be one, supposedly there's one that they're actually trying to get this celebrity to buy. And it's an A-list dude or female. I don't know.
Right.
I'm assuming it's a dude, but you don't know.
Well, they see like Ashton Kutcher is deep in this, right?
Yeah. And so the issue is you see a lot of people leaving the country, like Leo and Aston. And Kevin Hart went to Canada and this one and that one. And here's another thing about the go back to Kamala Harris campaign.
Right.
Usher's name has been brought up in this whole P. Diddy thing. Right. So he made us innocent until proven guilty. But why would you have him out there fronting Kamala?
Oh, I know.
Why don't you wait till the facts come in?
Right.
Because if it turns out he's knee deep in it, not a good look.
Well, even Oprah Winfrey,
Oh,
like the people she's tied to, like had her a picture taken with and everything.
Weinstein, Epstein, this clown.
Yeah. You know. It's just, I don't know. But even like they make it a big deal that Reverend Al Sharpton had some kind of ceremony for the poor young girl who was starved to death by her parents here in New York. A terrible case, but hasn't he kind of lost his credibility? No,
he's got a show on MSNBC. I mean, there's a portion of this population that still don't get it about the guy's a charlatan. It has nothing to do with race, but the guy's a charlatan. He's living off the backs of people he's supposedly representing, and he's a flim-flam man. He's very good at it.
Yeah,
really good. He's been around for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's a funny dude is Robert Williams. I know that's no new news.
We're gonna start a cult.
A cult?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tax-free, right?
Make up. I think like a church cult, like the Church of Latter-day Lesbians. I think Church of Latter-day
Laidlaw.
Or Church of Latter-day Lesbians. I think. Yeah. Well, we all like women, so with today's right, so you're a lesbian.
I guess.
Yeah, technically, we could, based on today's definition, we could be lesbians, right?
Yeah. Well, did you see what at the Al Smith dinner what Trump said to Chuck Schumer?
No, I didn't see that.
He said, "Don't worry, if Kamala doesn't get elected, you can still be the first woman president."
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, Trump was sitting right next to him.
Oh, I saw the picture of him. I didn't know that's what he said. I've always got a kick out of that dinner. Like that's a carve fest, right? Like they were after each other.
And by her not showing up, it just opened the door.
Well, she couldn't stand that. She couldn't do that
because Hillary showed up when they were running, and it was funny.
Yeah.
Like he said, they were always chanting "lock her up" and all that kind of stuff. But by the way, he didn't do.
Right.
Because when asked about it, he said, "Well, she's a nice woman."
Right.
But anyhow, he's up there, and she's like sitting right there, whatever. Yeah. He says something. Yeah, if I get elected, there's only 2 words that she said to me. "Pardon me." Yeah, and she laughed. I mean, that's what it is. Yeah. It's
like everybody knows going to that event. That's what it's all about.
Again, let's talk about how out of touch Kamala Harris campaign the people are. She does a video with Molly Shannon.
Yeah.
With a pretty much Catholic bashing character from like this one that was on Saturday Night Live like 30 years ago. Kids, like my kids, they don't. I mean, they may know, but you know what I'm saying. Most people don't even know who she is.
I didn't know what she was talking about.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh God, it's funny. The whole politics, and even like I wish Trump, as much as. Like people love him the way he is. It just we've talked about this before. I wish he would kind of be somewhat more but at the same time, that's who he is.
Yeah. You either hate him or you love him. There's nobody that's like kind of neutral around him.
I noticed like the people at McDonald's they were quoted saying, "I'll take whatever he gives me." The McDonald's line, they didn't care less. They just want to be. They're all talking about how much. Yeah, people that love him, they just love him. Man.
One cut rolled up. He goes, "Yeah, fake media." He just points.
What do you say?
Fake media. And then he called them all in. He called all the media and they gave him a big bag of fries. He goes, "Look good I made him."
Oh, that's funny. It's a good move by him, right? Because he's brave enough to step into that.
Man.
Yeah, because Kamala wouldn't do that. Yeah. Well, that's the thing about him. Like I've watched a few videos of him, and I'm sure there's selective videos, but he's at like these world meetings with all the other world leaders, and somebody will be standing in front of him, some premier of something. He'll just grab the guy with the shoulder, move him out of the way, and say, "Hey, I'm coming through."
Yeah. Well, you know, again, nobody's neutral about him, but I will say this: there are things about him most people don't know. Like who's that actress? Kate Hudson? Not Kate Hudson. The black girl. I forget her name. But anyhow, I guess she. Her apartment burned down in Chicago. He took care of it. He paid for it. Got her back on her feet. Yeah.
Yeah, he's done a few things like that where people really don't. It's not publicized all the nice stuff he's done for people. Yeah.
You know who's like that? It's Floyd Mayweather, who's a very polarizing figure in the boxing world.
Right.
And when Joe Frazier died penniless.
Right.
And Floyd took care of his arrangements, paid for everything. Yeah.
You know who else? Yeah, there's a lot of people like that out there in the world. They really do good stuff and they don't want to publicize. That's why, like, Mark Cuban did something nice for somebody that paid off, but it was all publicized. Like he didn't just do it privately.
So he asked Beth out on a date when Beth lived in Dallas.
Really?
Oh yeah, and she turned him down. Look who she's got now.
Good move by her. She's a smart woman.
What are you thinking? You'd be with a billionaire on a yacht right now.
You know, yeah, it's weird stuff. I had 2 good poops this morning too already.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Lots of fiber. Oh, yeah. You know those ones when you get it all out there and you feel like you've lost 10 pounds, like you just
probably because you did.
Yeah. Are you big on fiber? Like, do you really monitor how much fiber you put?
I don't monitor it, but the foods I eat have plenty. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I'm beyond the monitoring because it's kind of like it's a habit now. It's just the way I eat.
Your diet is your diet. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it through too much.
Yeah. I know we talked about this before. Are you big into creatine? Do you believe?
Yeah, so there's a lot of I don't know if it's anecdotal or research backed. They saying it. Well, first of all, it's safe, and it has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And they say, especially as you get older, it's good for you. So, but really, what creatine does is it just gives you it's not a steroid. It doesn't build muscle. It gives you more energy to continue working out hard. Really is what it is.
Kind of like it feeds your muscles, right? Isn't that kind of
the energy production comes from adenosine triphosphate, which is 3 phosphate molecules. Breaks off, you got 2, grabs phosphate, reconverts the 3 for more energy. Right. Once you're out of your own phosphate, the creatine kicks in because it's a phosphate.
Do you know you know how much that turns me on when you talk like that, right? Like
I think you like the word phosphate.
No, it's just listening to you talk like that, all the words in it. It's kind of like you're reading out of Playboy magazine or something like that.
And that's where I learned it. Yeah. Playboy Forum. Yeah.
Never tell you.
I didn't look at the pictures. I just read the forum.
There's our girl, Deb Anderson, Miss Midwest girl there. Deborah, how are you doing?
Where does she live?
God, Kansas or Kentucky. I can't remember which one it is. My parents this is obviously long before any, TV, whatever, but they used to get the Playboy magazine all the time. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget because they'd open up the magazine and start reading, but I'm assuming they were using it for other things, but they would always read the funny jokes.
Well, they were good. The jokes were hysterical. Yeah.
Oh, Deb's in Nebraska. I apologize, Deb. I always forget that. Yeah. Nebraska. Yes.
Cornhusker.
Yeah. My parents, and then as I got older, they stored all the magazines under their bed. Mm-hmm. Like I was never going to find them. Like I was a 15-year-old boy. I wasn't going to go searching for Playboy magazines. How about like the old Sears magazine and stuff like that, where they're selling ladies' underwear? I mean, you didn't need Playboy magazine back then.
Yeah, just Sears catalog was
good.
Yeah. Why we've come a long way with what you can see on the internet now.
Oh God, I know. They had this woman. It was on Canadian TV. She was on Sunday night. An older lady, and she would openly talk about sex. Like she would show how to put a condom on.
That really old lady. Right?
Yeah. And it was hilarious because I guess she was very serious about it. Like she wasn't being like
she really got into the details too. Yeah.
And you go out, like you're drinking or whatever, and you come home and then you're watching this old lady.
Yeah.
She's like putting a condom on
3 in the morning.
Yeah, she's putting a condom on her fingers and but she would get into like techniques, like sexual techniques.
Oh yeah. And she, like you say, she was like in her 80s or 90s. Yeah.
And the way she talked, it was so like disciplined, like it was like a business, right? Like now you insert the penis here,
very clinical.
Yeah. And then you could here's the clitoris right here.
Well, Dr. Ruth, remember, of course, Dr. Ruth.
Yeah. But I think that's important. Like I don't know. How was your father like teaching you about the birds and bees as you got older? Did he
We
teach
never
you?
had that conversation.
Really? So when you were with, you don't want to go into detail, but when you were with your first woman
Mhm.
and your first sexual experience, like you were just fumbling around and not like,
Yeah, I think it comes pretty natural.
right.
Yeah.
But there's obviously things you know more now. It's like the first time you walk in a gym,
That's like anything else. Yeah.
right?
You
But
get experience.
you're better at lifting weights now than you were, 20 years ago,
Mhm.
right? So it's the same thing with sex. I
But
mean,
my dad was like your dad, real quiet, big dude. Never
right.
said much. Yeah.
I actually think my mother had a conversation. Well, your father will talk to you someday about the birds and bees. Yeah.
Never had it. And
Yeah.
when that's supposed to happen like when you're 12 or something.
I know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you don't end up as a father when you're 13.
But that's got to be. I did it with my sons, but
Mhm.
it's still awkward, right? I mean, did you do it with your boys?
No.
Oh, you didn't.
No.
Oh,
I picked up Ty one day. Now Ty's the one who's a comedian, kind of actor guy.
Yeah.
He's fifth grade, I guess. I go, how was school? Disturbing. I go, what happened? Oh, we watched the film. And he air quotes. I go, what's the film, Ty? Well, the frog talks to us about nocturnal emissions and you have to wear deodorant now and all this stuff. And I said, what about the girls? Oh, they get their period. We got deodorant. They got tampon. It was hysterical. Yeah, but the way he said it, disturbing.
and isn't it funny when it comes out of your son's mouth too? Like,
Yeah, it was a frog, like some animated frog going through.
My son. I don't know if I should tell the joke, but he told a joke that's borderline. Should tell it, but when it came out of his mouth, it wasn't dirty. He didn't use bad language, but it was just like one of those. It had to do with men or women menstruating and everything. And
Mhm.
yeah, it was. Did you know the goalie Staniowski
Ed.
who left hockey for the military? I did not know that.
Yeah, Ed Staniowski. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I saw online today too that Mo LeMay. Remember Mo LeMay that played? He died. He passed away.
We did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of goaltime, I was watching something this morning or the day before on YouTube. Mike Liut.
Yeah.
He was pretty tall, right? So
Did
he
you
was
see
one of
that
the,
interview that he did?
yeah,
Yeah.
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 One of the taller guys, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't he tall? But you look at his pads; he looked naked out.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah, he was compared to today.
We played against each other in college. He was a very intelligent guy. Went to law
where did
school.
he go? Bowling? Was he
Bowling Green?
Yeah.
Bowling Green. Yeah. Who else? Name, do you got a couple of the players you can name who went to Bowling Green?
Well, George McPhee.
Yeah. There you go.
I think somebody that you might have played with on the Rangers wasn't
Brian McClellan.
McClellan. Yeah.
Mike Johnson, who does a lot of broadcasting, was a Bowling Green guy.
Any of the Olympic kids, the 80 team Bowling Green guys?
Yeah. Well, Ken Morrow.
Right. Yeah.
And there was another guy too. Oh, yeah. There's one. Mark Wells. Was it Wells? Maybe
Wells. Maybe.
Yeah.
Did they lose their program? Wasn't there some kind of was it Bowling Green or was it Kent State? One of the teams also programmed over at Hazing.
Yeah, maybe I don't think it was Bowling Green.
I think it was Kent State.
Yeah, probably Kent State.
Kent State.
I saw recently where some guy was hazed, and they said it was like the other players got arrested or whatever because it was sexual harassment.
New York. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and that school, they've had a couple issues there with coaches and with the hazing and stuff like that. Yeah.
To still be doing that now, like they're living in the dark ages, right?
Yeah, I mean that part I don't get, but
yeah, I mean, so people know it sounds barbaric, but part of the process is amazing. Yeah, back in the 70s and 80s, part of the process was they would wrap cotton around the end of a hockey stick, soak it in heat bomb, and then insert it into a part that was an exit.
I mean, it was more, and there were other things that were a little bit more benign than that, but
yeah,
there was always something going on.
You think about that, like, what was the point? Like,
well, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of guys say, "No, it's not happening."
Yeah.
One at a time, then two at a time. It's not happening.
And I participated in it too. And I look back, like I had no idea, like, why was I doing it? It didn't do anything to help the team, didn't help the player. These are rookie.
And I think some of that's got like mustache boy or whatever. What do they call it? Like you got to grow a mustache if you don't. Stuff that's a little bit. It's still team building. Someone would say, but it's a lot less.
But that whole the whole process of getting some young man naked, putting him on a table, and doing some of the stuff that was done.
Not really big on my list.
I know.
To do.
It seems so barbaric now.
It is.
Yeah. But it was one of those things at the time. It was like that was all part of the process of. Yeah.
But I mean, you can still do stuff that's, like you said, taping them to a pole, walking away or something.
Yeah. Let me see. Our buddy Keith Morano. I'm glad I never had that talk with my father. Would have been scared for life.
Next time we go on a hike, Keith, I'll go through it with you. Don't worry about it.
But there's some things though, like when you're a young guy and things starts happening to your body, and you're like, okay, what is going on here? Like it's like you're kind of But
well, there's a lot. Yeah, growing up is it for girls as well. It's tough because a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah. So then your parents want to sit down and like, okay, so I'm trying to picture like my father coming to me, say, okay, Tom, let's sit down and have a little talk here. And I'd be like, what? Like, would you even want? Like, I can't remember. Did I even want to? Yeah.
No, I looking back, I really never had those kind of conversations with my dad.
Yeah.
Most of my conversations could help me with my math because my dad was a real bright guy. Other than that, it was
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, it's a different time, right? First of all.
Yeah.
But like even like like my father, it was the farm life. So yeah, there's no conversations at all about it. It's like
get your ass outside of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sit down and eat your dinner and shut up. Yeah.
I wish I had, again, it's Monday morning quarterbacking, but everything my dad tried to teach me, like how to fix the lawnmower or stuff, like he'd be showing me in my brain and be like, I really want a cookie.
Oh,
I wasn't paying attention
totally.
At all. And now I could really use all the skill sets that he tried to pass along, but I was just
very
too
true.
Stupid.
But I'm sure there's things that just kind of through watching him from day to day, you learn from him, like work ethic and how to live your life.
Yeah, and also just the moral code. My dad had a really strong one.
Yeah.
World War II vet, man. Different man.
Yeah. It sounds kind of morbid. It's not limited to this, but even when your father is passing away, like the response from other people, and I know people always tend to say nice things because but it's like the whole, like, what do they say about him? Like, what's important to what you learned about your father, like the character part? And, yeah. Interesting. I know we talked about this. Are you a morning pooper? Yeah. And then that's it for the day. You're done. You have your morning poop. You're done. Pretty regular as far as timing and everything?
It's all in your diet, man.
Really? So you've got it nailed down where you poop like at 8:31 or whatever?
If you eat certain foods first of all, the biggest thing to do is stay away from foods that you may be allergic to or aggravate you.
Right.
If you do that, you're fine. I mean, your body has a circadian rhythm, and that's part of it. Yeah.
I'm very proud of my sourdough bread that I've got nailed down now. Oh, man.
I was tempted to buy some because I don't really eat bread and that sort of thing.
I know. That's the only problem because now I make you only make a loaf, like you can't make it hard to make a half a loaf or whatever. I guess you could, but it's I make the sourdough bread with like French toast sourdough bread because it's got all like it really soaks up the eggs so much. Oh,
tell you what, 2 weeks ago I had to go pick the dog up from the groomer, and I got there a little earlier. There's a health food, like a health diner kind of thing,
right?
And I hadn't had pancakes in so long.
Oh.
And man, and they were so good, Tom.
Right.
It was like.
So, and what did you put on syrup?
Yeah, but it was because it's a health place. They had organic maple syrup and
okay.
A little bit of butter. It was just.
And so it's organic place. So it was like you feel it's much healthier, like more protein in it.
Oh yeah, like if you go to the diner, that's just
right.
Those pancakes are bounce them.
Right.
Yeah.
How about waffle? What is it? Waffle House? IHOP. IHOP. Do you like their pancakes or IHOP?
Yeah, they're okay. I mean, again, it's mass production, but
right.
If I was going to go somewhere that wasn't like a really healthy place, I'd probably go to IHOP.
Yeah. Is it true? Like people are learning more. Well, about like you look at McDonald's, the food they have there is just. I saw a great video where two women are talking. It's pretty cool. They're saying people make the excuse. They'll say, "Well, I ate it when I was young, so it's okay." And I think we've touched on this. Well, yeah, but the food we ate back then was different. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a couple memes on the internet. Like you see ice cream, it was milk, sugar, whatever. And now you look at xanthan gum and this and that and the other thing. There's like 15 different chemicals in there.
How about some of these fruits? Like people are getting watermelon, and it's like leather. Like they're bending the watermelon. Like it's.
Well, it's the GMO stuff. Wow. Unfortunately, you got to try it as best you can. Get organic.
See, we're going to have a little debate about this organic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You got your debate hat on? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my research tells me that I think we've talked about this, so do you believe the government regulates the organic farming industry?
No, but here's what I want, and I understand where you're going with it. How do we know? I would say that we don't, but you have a better odds of getting a better product if it's organic than not. That's the way I look at it. I mean, unless you really grow it, you don't know.
Right.
Let's go.
Well, but here's the thing. So first they say that it's either 3 or 5 years. So you can't have had any chemicals used on that soil for 3 to 5 years. Okay. Well, is that really, are those chemicals all gone, first of all? And the government licenses about 70 independent companies to go out and find out, like to go out and inspect these farms to make sure they're organic. But the farmers pay these companies. So, I mean, it's kind of like, okay, we'll slide you a little bit under the table here. And
of course, yeah.
Right.
And I think you have to if you want to be sure, you need to do a little research on what source that organic. So in other words, there's a farm out, excuse me, in Long Island called D'Artagnan, and they ship out here to New Jersey. It's organic chicken and beef and stuff like that. And you can go on their website. You could see exactly what's going on. They're small, in terms of agro, or that they're really small, but they have controls that are set, and you're pretty confident that what they're telling you is true.
Sure.
I think where you run into problems is like now this morning I bought organic asparagus, and you look at its product from Mexico. So you say to yourself, okay, what's the source of water you're using in Mexico?
Right.
But
I know. I guess it's the debate. Like sometimes it's like 3 or 4 times more expensive. Is that worth? Yeah, is that worth it? But
I mean, across the board. And again, my diet is so limited that I can pretty much control it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the more you add on, the more you got to research and figure it out. But I was reading this morning, like Fruit Loops.
Oh, how bad they were!
Oh my God! It's
how about
just chemicals?
Oh, and I feel bad. I know it's not their fault, but I think the Kelseys now are big on promoting their new cereal, which is like it's a Fruit Loops derivative or whatever it is.
So that's an interesting, because you've often talked about breakfast, and that the whole cornflakes thing was invented by Kellogg. Yeah. Kellogg was completely out of his mind.
Right.
He had some really strange thoughts. And, that's when they had these, like when you got sick, they just wrap a blanket, put you in a wheelchair, sit you out by the lake because fresh air would cure you. Kind of. Right. But yeah, that was all, that whole breakfast industry of cereal was manufactured by Kellogg's.
Well, even like bacon and eggs and sausage and all that kind of stuff. There's a great commercial, well, not great commercial, but interesting. So they're trying to sell bacon and all that. So there's a family, the parents are sitting down at the table and they got this huge plate. There must be like 100 pieces of bacon on this plate, eggs and all. And the son and daughter are standing there eating a granola bar and a smoothie. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, what are you guys doing? They said, well, we're having breakfast. Like to assume that breakfast is supposed to be bacon and eggs. So the kids are trying to eat healthy and the parents say, no. We've got this bacon. Yeah.
Isn't it sad that as human beings, we still don't know how to feed ourselves? We're animals in the wild. They go eat, they move on.
But do you think that's a great question. So it's like part of it is like justifying why it's better for me to eat something that's first of all, easier for me to make and taste better, even though I know it's not as healthy for me, but these commercials are telling me it's okay.
Well, they actually have used the same marketing and type of skills from the tobacco industry to get you actually addicted to these foods. They put ingredients that will get you addicted. Most of it's sugar, And the problem with sugar is, you have a sugar blood glucose levels, and when they get low, that's your fault, my fault, because we didn't eat in time. And your first instinct is to reach for something sugary and then you dump out all this insulin. That becomes like just a nasty cycle of events, and that's how people end up being 3, 4, 5, 6.
And that's why they say that restaurants give you bread at the start of the meal because that raises your glucose level, right? That you now eat more. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
And like as a culture, we're fine with a television show called My 600-Pound Life.
Oh, I know.
Really? I mean.
And you're seeing more, we've touched on this too, and it's a delicate subject, I know, but there's more and more on commercials and TV shows where there's overweight people and becoming like, this is okay. This is a standard. This is the way life is supposed to be. And it's not picking on their size or the way they look. It's they're promoting being unhealthy, right?
Well, so Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other ones. Okay. Jardiance is the one, the commercial, that overweight people dance around happy.
I know.
And look, God bless you, but don't promote an unhealthy, dangerously unhealthy lifestyle and say, you're going to be fine as long as you take this drug for the
Right.
rest of your life.
You'll be dancing around. It's
Yeah.
amazing you bring this up too. There's so many commercials now that, particularly with health
Yeah.
products, where they're dancing around. Like these
Right.
get these overweight people dancing around. It's like,
And
what?
it's the most incredibly ludicrous thing. And I feel confident saying this because in my entire life, I've never had a doctor say, let's talk about how's your diet?
Yeah.
No, they write a script and here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't make money off your diet. Yeah. Yeah. What was the other one you were touching? Ozempic. Aren't they promoting with Ozempic? There's all these other health benefits now too, they're saying.
Well, there are some. I mean, originally it was for, I forget what it was for. It wasn't for weight loss.
Right.
Yeah. But you listen to these side effects and you're like,
oh, I know.
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm good.
But it's funny because we really pay attention to the side effects. Like your eyes are going to pop out.
Years ago, Tom, I mean, 100 years ago, I was living in Clifton. I had a roommate, Brian, right? And he was a really bright kid. And we went to the local pizzeria, and there was a table of women, God bless them, but they were all really big ladies.
Right.
And they were snapping because they didn't have Diet Pepsi. Oh. And yet they had the sausage pizza in front of them, like, cheese. I'm like,
oh, I know.
Who are you kidding?
I know. And it's like it's awful to say too, but it's like there's people, and we do it with healthy people. We want to be around healthy people. So they want to be around other not healthy people. So it's like, that's part of, that's the way you're supposed to live. Yeah, I know. And again, it's so delicate because you don't want to insult people. You're not trying to pick on the way they look.
I remember there was a heavy comedian. He goes, I went to take a flight and they said, what do you weigh? I said, if it's that close, I'm not getting on. And JD was telling a story. I don't know. Like, you might have been playing with him. They had to take a puddle jumper, like I don't know where. And I guess same thing. They had to weigh the plane and all the gear and stuff. And they actually did land like this because all the weight was in the back. Yeah.
JD's a big man too.
Yeah, he is a big dude.
I talked to JD the other day. He's living down in St. Louis. He's done well, and he's got grandkids down there in the whole bit. So he's taking care of the grandkids. Doing well.
Yeah, I guess we were on a couple-day trip or something. I think the longest trip of the year, and we're landing in Westchester. It's kind of off color. He says there's about to be a milk truck crash in about an hour in Westchester. Do the math. Daddy's home.
Oh God, those are fun times. JD was funny.
He was funny because Danny Blackburn was living with him.
Yeah, and he had 2 daughters at the time.
Right.
JD.
And somebody said, "Don't you worry about it." He says, "No, I don't." He says, "He's a good kid. I don't have to put a bag of potato chips in front of their door." Danny was an interesting story. That kid.
Yeah, he's kind of an odd duck, right? Like,
well, he's a goaltender, but like he didn't plan on making the team because and he did. He literally had clip-on ties.
Oh,
and he didn't have a checking account.
Oh,
I mean, he really just was.
I remember my first year. I bought the Camaro Z28.
There you go.
And we're living in a hotel. Dave Sink and I. We're going to practice. We had I'd get up in the morning, the tire would be flat. We just drive the car to the practice. Yeah, didn't change the oil or whatever. I think I owned the car for like a year. Never changed the oil on it, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, what a moron.
So he sat next to me on the bus. Like, you didn't have assigned seating, but it got to be where you always sat same spot.
Right.
And I had Dale Purinton and Thomas Kluchek in front of us.
Oh.
And they would be like turning back, "Hey, Danny," and like the poor kid. He just, they're asking him questions about his girlfriend and stuff. Yeah, it was pretty rough.
I'll tell you, it's funny. I know you know this, but the locker room, like if they could do a video of the actual talk in the locker room, I don't know if it's as much that way anymore now.
Probably
but man, a comedy show.
Probably what you see in a locker room now is like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's true. Yeah. They're on the cell phone with everything. Because it was so funny. Some of the stuff that was said in the locker room was just, They had Robin Williams was on. There's an old video. He was on David Letterman, I think, or somebody, one of the comedians. And the guy brought up, he says, "You've done some things that have kind of gone over the line." So that kind of pushed him to now go ahead and do so he was imitating a blind man. He was imitating a deaf man, totally inappropriate stuff. And everybody's just, it was so inappropriate. Everybody's just peeing their pants laughing, and it was just like,
you should write a book about all the guys because Theo was funny. Theo was really funny. Oh God. Dale was funny. Dale Purinton.
Yeah.
So we had a couple guys that were really pretty.
Right. You know, the best guys were the guys that didn't talk a whole lot, but when they did, they'd come up with a real gem. Like it was
Malakoff.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, he was still KGB.
yeah. Oh,
He was, yeah, he was a pretty stern dude. Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Good
funny.
guy, but like you say, every once in a while, you just come out with something, and that would be it.
We were Sophie. What's happening there, sister?
DEFCON 4. That's an Amazon truck.
We Darius Kasparaitis. We were playing an alumni game. We're up in Boston, and the charity was for it's the Navy SEAL Foundation. So we had breakfast in the morning, and we're sitting at this table. Myself, Kasparaitis, a couple of people, and a couple of retired Navy SEALs, like high level guys.
Yeah.
That obviously, as you know, or better than I do, they're still kind of really tied into what's going on.
Right.
And we got talking. I think at the time there was something going on with Russia, missiles or something like that. So Kasparaitis picks up the phone, very serious. He's talking on the phone, and we're listening. And I didn't know what time he's pretending he's talking to some higher up person in Russia. And it was very funny. The Navy SEAL, he picked up on it. He was very calm and everything. He says, "You do know, I know your coordinates," or something like that, where you live. Like, we do have missiles, or it was hilarious because we're all looking like, okay, are these guys being serious or
probably? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it was funny. John McClane, very dry sense
Yeah.
of humor.
Yep.
Really dry sense of humor.
Yeah.
I probably told the story, but he actually lined up with Gretzky for Gretzky's last game.
Right.
And I said, Johnny, that's cool. You could tell your grandkids, hey man, Gretzky's last game, I was his right winger. He goes, you kidding me? He looked over to me. He goes, let's come down to this.
I told you. So I thought I was I was pretty good at the one-liners, jabbing guys on the other team and saying stuff. I said to him one time in a game, I was in LA, and I think he had the C or A on his jersey. And I said to him, like, I'll clean it up a little bit. I said, who did you have sex with to have the A on your jersey? He turns to me really quick too, and very, like you said, really dry in a bit. He says, who did you have sex with to still be in the league?
Exactly.
And it was one of those ones. I think I even reached over to him, gave him the knuckles. Like, I think that's pretty good. You got me.
Who was the kid, the redheaded tough kid that played for Tampa? Dwyer was his name?
Yeah.
I guess they got into a little scrum, and John lost his hair or whatever, and he said, "Hey, Baldy," and John said, "That's the best you got."
Oh,
it's kind of obvious. Everybody knows that. That's it. That's all you
got. That's the funny. When I lived in LA, we rented a house with a pool and a hot tub and the whole bit, and we had a pretty close team then. So we had a party before at my house, and before season started, and all the team showed up. So we invited some of the neighbors, big fans. Everybody's drinking beers and the whole bits, mid '80s, and of course, we're just giving it to each other too. We had some funny guys. Like Mark Hardy was a funny guy. There's some pretty. Bernie Nichols was good. So we're going at it back and forth. Everybody leaves. No big deal. That we're all used to. That's just the way we talk. The neighbors all stayed for a while, and they sat there and they were like dead quiet. And they're going like they're. I said, "You guys all right?" And they go, "Do you guys not like each other or what?" Yeah, because they just didn't. They weren't used to that kind of.
That's, and again, going back to the locker room, like, so back then in the summer, it would be. So I was, training the guys that were here. So it was Johnny Mack and remember Valery Zelepukin.
Yep.
Billy Guerin was just a kid, and I forget, it was Stevie Thomas and a bunch of guys. The training was fun, but the best part was just afterwards, just sitting around, rehydrating, and busting each other's chops.
Yeah, rehydrating. We rehydrated with lots of nothing better than back then with cold beers after you've sweated your ass off too.
Summertime,
Oh yeah. Now, okay, here's a question. This is deep. Okay. So a couple of questions. So I got notified yesterday that an old girlfriend of mine from about like 20 years ago had passed away.
Oh,
should there be some feelings, attempt to go to the funeral? It didn't end well. It was one of those things.
Probably not.
Okay, just leave it alone.
Send a card.
Right. It actually came about because when I first came back here, I started playing men's league hockey, and I met this really nice couple, Joan and Pete. And we got really close, spent a lot of time together and everything. I was single. We were just having fun. Now, he passed away probably like 2 or 3 years ago. One of those things was really quick. He had an aneurysm. They had gone in the hospital. It didn't seem like a big deal. He passed away. And I'd been notified by other people that he passed away. I hadn't seen them both in a couple of years, but we had been really close. I couldn't bring myself to go to the funeral. I was like, I don't know if I was scared or what it was, the whole death thing. I don't know what
Yeah, I mean, it's always a difficult process.
Yeah.
Like making that call.
Yeah.
Even like now I struggle with where I see someone's mom or dad passed and like, even though I was friends with that person at one point, do I go to the
Yeah.
show respect or just send a note or whatever? It's
Right.
it's fine.
I know. Like I even had Walt Kyle's brother, John Kyle.
Mhm.
We were all really close. He contacted me probably about a year ago, and we'd spoken every once in a while. But he had to get prostate surgery,
Mhm.
and so we talked before the surgery. Once he got done, again, I was nervous about calling him, asking how he was doing after the fact. It was the weirdest thing. Like him and I were so close, but I was like, I don't want to. Like it's almost like if I open that door, now I'm involved in the whole.
Well, I don't even know if it's that. I think for me, it's like, have I spoke to this person within the past 5 years?
Yeah.
If not,
right. There he is. We lost him. He gets a call at noon every day. Is noon, so that's where we lose him. Now the question is, will he get back on? I know he's got clients and everything. So, talking about some cheery stuff: prostate cancer and dying. If we don't get him back on, we'll wait for a little bit here. If we don't get him back on again, we'll wrap it up here. If anybody's got more questions, love to. Tom, let me see here. We got a question right here. Remember me, Steve Vickers, he's had a long career. The truth is, many love the hockey in their youth, but as a 30-year-old, you play for cash. That's great. It's actually a fantastic question. Play for cash. I don't. In hockey. I'm sure, yes. I mean, everybody's got families, your career's not going to last forever. But again, you remember back when it's a whole different world. Like, when I played, my maximum salary I ever made, I think it was like $310,000 a year. The minimum salary now in the NHL is like $800,000 a year. So it's, and the average is probably, I don't even know where it is now. Is it $3 or $4 million a year, the average? So when we played, I mean, yeah, we wanted to save as much money as possible, but the reality is we weren't really playing for money because we didn't make any money. Now, again, that's all changed now. And again, I still think most of the athletes that play today in hockey, I do think it's different than other sports. Like I love watching football, but who made the statement that's been used before? A lot of coaches think that there's some players now are making business decisions. It's particularly in a sport like football where you get hurt. So you watch some of these guys tackle on teams that aren't very good. It's like they just don't want to get hurt. They don't want to ruin their careers. And I get it, but at the same time, it's, you'd like to leave the game. See, I always thought that when you leave the game, you want to say to yourself, okay, did I get the most out of my career? Now, not many people can really say that, but I think that's the way it should be approached. But it's a great question, though, Roy. That is a problem. It was a coach of Vegas where they had the guy they just traded to the Jets, and he kind of intimated he was talking about him, where the guy didn't play because he wanted to get traded and he didn't want to get hurt. So the coach, he was a former player too. It's awful. I can't remember his name, but I'm enjoying your show. Do you go back to Brampton at all? So Brampton is my hometown. That's where our buddy Murray Graham's from. Actually, Brampton is a town. I grew up just outside of Brampton. It was like Chingacusi County or county, I think it was. I hardly ever get back there, Murray, and I wish I did. My parents both passed away, so I really don't have any family in that area anymore. And I had, when I was in the agent business, I would go up to that area. But last time I was up there, it's changed so much too. Which all sadly, I went back to we had our farm. So back when I grew up, going up north out of Mississauga, Ontario, which is going to Brampton too, we had this Highway 10. So all the roads east of Highway 10 and the roads west of Highway 10 were titled or named first line west, first line east, second line east, second line west, and then there's like 15 side road. So there's no really names for the streets. And it didn't seem like a big deal. That's just the way it was back then, because it really wasn't on each road up there. If you got into farm country, there just wasn't that many houses on those roads. And now that's all changed. I actually did a Google Maps where our farm was, and it's all. Somebody actually sent me a picture to where our house was on 15 side road between first and second line west, I believe it was. Our farm, or excuse me, once we sold our farm, we kept a piece of land, built a house, and it was fair distance back from the road. Now that's all. I'm assuming they've just expanded the road and everything. So he sent me a picture, and you can see it was the house, but it was just the front lawn was pretty much gone because it was still. I should be careful. It was still there, but it wasn't the size of what we had. So But no, go back to Brampton. That's fun. We used to go back. We talked about it. You probably remember this, Murray. The old, it's a Sword and Shield, or Shield and Sword, one of the two. It was, I believe, it was a hotel or a restaurant, but it was also the strip joint in town. So that was the that was the thing. We would skip school. There, I've talked to this before. We'd skip school Thursday afternoons to go to the strip joint, drink draft beer for 25 cents, eat hard-boiled eggs or pickled eggs. I guess they had vinegar and everything too. So the combination of the draft beer and the eggs, for some reason we had to go back to school to check out of school, and so we would go back and we're all giggling like little kids. There's like 10 of us and farting up a storm. And I don't know. The teachers never said anything, but I always thought like they had to have known what we were doing. But that was the old farm boy life. Pickled eggs and draft beer. Dixie Arena, yes, Dixie Arena. Remember the old Ray? Do you remember the old Dixie Cup? The big, like, it was a big water, like I guess a water tank up in the air. You know, it was filled with water and it would just flow down. But it was shaped like a Dixie cup because Dixie, there was a factory there that made Dixie cups. I believe I'm correct in that, right? Roy and Murray will probably remember that. Dixie Arena, yeah. So there's in Bramalea where I played, there was the Victoria Park Arena. No, that was in Brampton. Was Victoria Park Arena. And then there was the where I played was I can't remember what the name of the rink was. That's awful. It burnt down recently too. The 5 and 5. Oh, the SNS. I think it's 5-5. SNS is gone now. Oh, that was a legendary place too. I'll never forget. It was like this, the tile floor. Just a bunch of old hardworking guys, with some farmers, everything in there. The guys working there, they're delivering the beer. Like they'd have the guys that would hold the tray with one hand, like 50 draft beers there. Like the guys were all jacked from carrying the beers around all the time. Oh, the pickled eggs. Oh God, that was fun times. It is funny when you're a kid too. You think to yourself, "Oh, we're getting away with this. Nobody knows." They had to have known what we were doing. It was probably smelling like perfume from the strippers and everything too, and draft beer. Yeah, go back into class, and all the rest of the kids are. And there we were. Probably had sparkles on us from the strippers too. Oh God, funny stuff. Yeah, Brampton's fun time. So Dixie Arena, Memorial Park Arena was the Brampton Arena, and the arena in Bramalea. In Chinguacousy, God help me, guys. It's awful. It's feel terrible. Victoria, no, what was it? Oh, it's terrible. I grew up in that arena. Well, I grew up. I spent a lot of time in it too. You guys will tell me though. All right, everybody. We lost Mark. Obviously, he's gone. Everybody have a fantastic week. Again, let's keep pounding away at that whole mental health stuff and everything. So the more and more I get into that world, we got some interesting projects coming up here too. We'll see where they go. I've been approached the other day about pickleball. I want to get everybody's opinion on pickleball. So people wanted to put together a whole pickleball league. I know there's other leagues out there, but they want to put together a kind of pickleball federation kind of thing. So we'll see where that goes. Victoria Park Arena, was that the one in Bramalea? And then Memorial Arena was the one in Brampton, right? Right, Murray? Yeah. Victoria Park Arena. That's awful. Man, I remember that. Yeah, never forget that little place. They built us, the junior B team, the Bramalea Blues. They built us a nice locker room down at one end. Man, that was a big time for us too. Well, it probably was only like 10 by, it wasn't 10 by 10, but it was a small little thing. That was the first time I ever took a shower in my life too, in that arena. Roy, we'll talk to you soon. Roy, Murray, everybody, good to see you. Everybody have a fantastic week. We'll see you next Monday. We may have, again, some more podcasts coming up here, some new projects. So, but we'll definitely be back on Monday. So we will talk to you soon. See you, everybody.